Still waiting for Joe Biden to forgive his student loans for that one semester at Valley College. Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get it on. The choice maker mandate. Get it on. Thanks for tuning in. Marsha Warfield in studio. Marsha's a comedian, actress, philanthropist. I don't know, but I'm tossing that one in.
I'll take it.
I always watched you coming up. Night Court, I think, is where people got familiar with you, but then many stand-up appearances, because there used to be a lot of stand-up shows back in the day.
Right. Well, I started doing stand-up about 12 years before I got Night Court, and fortunately had been working pretty steady. The comedy boom I happened to catch. Moved to Los Angeles in 1976 and started doing stand-up in 1974. So I caught the beginning of the whole comedy explosion.
Yeah, I don't know where we're at now. Feels like we're having a renaissance, in terms of stand-ups. Feel like pretty good days. I'm trying to figure out if I was looking at a graph, so back in the day, it hit real hard in the early, mid-'80s. And then a lot, the plan was for a lot of stand-ups to do stand-up and then get a sitcom.
Correct.
And then start getting that Roseanne and Seinfeld and Tim Allen money. And it's a different paradigm now. I think stand-ups just stay in stand-up, and that's its own thing.
Well, the technology changed, and I think every time the technology changes, our business changes, I think pretty sure radio killed burlesque. And, we got into television. And then in the late 70s, we were moving into cable, and cable was in its infancy. So all of that stuff kind of boomed along together, and now we're in a whole different technological era where, there's more homemade comedy. Back in the day, you had studios and this, that, and then you went to the cable, and then that with the living color kind of comedy and the Chappelle shows and all those shows that boomed on cable. And now we're into, like I said, make your own. Yeah,
it's a real open market right now, and it's not going to be about who you know anymore. It's going to be about how good you are at what you do, and the cream will rise to the top, and that's about it. Because there's no more go out on the Tonight Show and just have 3/4 of the country see you do a 5-minute stand-up set. But also, there were so many just stand-up shows, television shows, Night at the Improv and all these kinds of shows where it was just stand-ups being put up there with probably a pretty big audience, especially percentage-wise.
I think it started with shows like Make Me Laugh and The Comedy Shop. Those were 70s shows that featured comedians.
You ever do Make Me Laugh? Or was that before?
I don't think so. I don't think I did that one because I didn't think I could just stand in front of people and make them laugh. The comedians that were successful at that would just go up and make faces at people and tickle them and stuff.
Yeah, it's a tall order for a comedian, because the premise of Make Me Laugh is you have a contestant, it's a game show, and they sit there for 30 seconds, maybe a minute. And if they don't laugh, they get paid.
$1 for every second.
I could not laugh. You could take, George Carlin and reanimate him, but for $80, I wouldn't laugh.
Sure.
But the thing that was always funny is when they did the celebrity Make Me Laugh, the celebrities would always laugh because they were trying to be generous to the comedians and they weren't hammering the checks. They didn't get the money. So they would always bust up early. And it takes a minute just to set up a premise.
Yeah, for me.
Yeah,
at least.
No, it would always be Bill Kirkenbauer, and then he was bald, as discussed on the show before. and he would pull his shirt up over his head just so the dome was exposed, and he'd go, look, roll on deodorant. He'd start moving his head, and then the person would laugh. But if you don't have that kind of those
Visual
tools,
things and
you
stuff.
need something big, like something visual like that.
It takes me, 5 minutes to say hello.
But and you back in the day would go out. I'm looking down here and open for like Teddy Pendergrass and the OJs, even George Carlin.
Yeah.
What was that like opening for George Carlin?
That was hectic because at that time I was doing Night Court. And when we taped Night Court, we shot 3 weeks on and then 1 week hiatus. And during the hiatuses and then on weekends, I was working. I would leave the taping, get on a plane, get off the plane, go to the venue, open for George, get back in the car and leave. So I never really met him. I just, and he was doing shows in the round, which I love. I love working in the round. And so I would come in and do the show and then go crash and do it again and get on a plane and go back to Night Court the next.
Did George pick you out?
Yeah.
Well, that's flattering.
Yeah. And I did a few shows with him and then, from what I understood, everything was fine. We did great. And then I just stopped working.
You stopped doing stand-up?
Yes.
Because you were just so busy doing sitcoms, TV shows, or
No,
why?
because I'm a woman.
Oh, Julie.
Yes, and sometimes we have to do things. We have to take care of our families. We have to live another life. And so I did.
How long did you step away from Hollywood?
Well, depends on how you count, but it was close to 20 years. I was not working. I didn't do stand-up. I didn't do anything as far as show business related.
What'd you do for money?
I was poor. I've been rich. I've been poor. Rich is better.
Rich is better. It doesn't. I tell people I've been poor and I've been rich too, and the rich part doesn't solve any problems, but the poor part makes you miserable.
Yeah.
Because everything is devastating. A parking ticket is devastating when you're poor. Getting your car towed, almost everything to do with a car is devastating when you're poor.
Dinner is devastating when you're poor.
What would always happen to me is I'd be pulling up somewhere and they'd say parking $11, and I'd go, oh man, I can't pay $11 for parking. So I would then park down on some side street, but my tire would be in the red, and then I'd get a $63 ticket. And that's how poor people, or the car would get broken into, steal something from it. So it was always, everything was devastating. And then when you have money, parking tickets, whatever, shit happens. It's just not what it is when you're poor.
I find, though, the problems expand to fit the space allotted.
Yes.
And no matter what it is, whether it's your closet, when you're poor and you got everything you own in a box somewhere, but those same things in the bigger apartment, suddenly that closet's full too. How did that happen? It just, things tend to expand to fit the space you have.
Yeah. You when you're poor, you get by on, $250 a week or whatever it is. And then at some point, you make $20,000 a week and you still just get by.
Yeah. Well, nowadays, everybody
that's the math.
is pretty much just getting by on $200,000.
Are you, so you're going back on the road, right? We got dates here.
Yes, I'll be at working with Martha Wash and Linda Clifford and Norma Jean Wright, the first ladies of disco. It's a wonderful show, and I get to MC it, I get to open it. I think it's a great show. It's a lot of fun. If you ever like disco music, watching these divas just have a ball. And the audience has a ball watching. I enjoy doing that.
I think we need some disco because disco was, whereas people make fun of disco sonically sometimes, like the Snobs,
Yeah.
They don't think it's good music. But disco wasn't so much about music. It was more that this country had done Nixon and Watergate and the Vietnam War and Jimmy Carter and gas lines and bad economy, and we were all just burnt out and bummed out. And somebody said, we got to get a mirror ball. We got to get the Village People. We got to get Donna Summer. We got to get on some roller skates and put on some spandex.
The floor needs to light up.
Do a little cocaine and start the party, man, because it was a stone cold bummer from like 1967 for a decade. It was all just Vietnam, Billy Jack, Indians crying by the side of the freeway. We were all just sitting around going, oh, God, it sucks. And then at some point we went, fuck it, let's party.
And pick me up.
Disco just came in and everyone just went, screw it. No longer we bummed out. We're just going to go get high and have fun.
I think it was the natural evolution of commercializing the sexual revolution. Disco was that element growing up, who had grown up into this whole new freedom, this whole new world of anything's possible. We have, like I said, the sexual revolution. We have women's lib. We have people coming out and doing things. And once you put a mirror ball in it, you got disco.
Yeah, kind of missed the disco. I was a little bit too young, but you opened for the OJs.
Yeah.
I would have stuck around and watched the OJs set. I wouldn't have hopped back on a plane.
Yeah.
I would have loved to see the OJs back in their prime.
Well, that was back in like 77 or so, and I wasn't hopping on a plane going anywhere.
Oh. So you did get to hang out with the OJs.
I got to do a few shows with them, and then a couple shows, every once in a while with them later on, but not a full tour.
Yeah. The OJs may have drifted into disco a little bit, but I don't think they were disco.
No, they were amazing. I had been following the OJs since the early 60s when they did songs like Lipstick Traces and then when they got into the Philly sound and the Love Train and For the Love of Money. Yeah.
Give us the OJ's hits because, everyone knows Love Train, but
Now That We Find Love that got remade.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. They had there was a Love Train, and then there was a Peace Train, too, by Cat Stevens. We had a lot of trains with a lot of goodwill. There
was a Friendship Train by Gladys Knight.
Oh, really? Yeah.
There's a midnight train to Georgia.
There was a train that was going to Georgia. We relied heavily on rail back then to convey messages, So, let's see. What other... Can't go wrong with this.
Backstabbers.
Oh, the Backstabbers. The Backstabbers. There used to be songs that kind of sent a message.
Sure. The night I went on stage, I was 20 years old. I knew as soon as I walked on stage, I tell people it's like it was like a calling. It was like a light shone down and just illuminated me from the inside, and I never. After that, I never doubted what I would be doing. I never worked another job. I never did anything but stand up after that.
Was it open mic? What
yes.
was it for?
It was to take us back to 1972.
Yeah.
1970.
Is this in
74,
Chicago?
74 in Chicago, yes. I was 20 years old, and Tom Dreesen had just broken up with his partner. He had a comedy team with Tim Reed.
Oh,
they were Tim
Reed.
and Tom.
Oh, that's right.
And they had just broken up. Tim moved to Los Angeles, and Tom was still in town, needed a place to work out. Mm-hmm. And so he started a Monday night thing at the Pickle Barrel, which was a deli with a bar. And this was all brand new. The Improv had just, I think, moved to Los Angeles.
Yeah,
and the Comedy Store just opened.
Tim Reed was Venus Flytrap on
Correct.
WKRP in Cincinnati, if you want to know. And him and Tom Dreesen's been on this show before.
Yeah.
But yes, go ahead.
So Tom had this open mic, and they did a feature in the Sunday paper talking about it and how this new comedy boom and the bada boom, but bing, and anybody could come down and try out. And that Tom called these newbies virgins.
Mm-hmm.
So I told my friend I was going to go down to that and try it. And then I never went. So one day she came to my house, put me in the car, and took me down there and introduced me to Tom and said I wanted to go on. And I sat there about 4 or 5 hours watching the other comedians. And I was probably the last comedian of the night. I was the virgin. And I said, my name is Marsha Warfield. And I'm a virgin, so please be kind.
And it worked.
That was the beginning, yes.
And that was it for you. I mean, no more day job.
No more. I went back the next Monday night, ate it big time.
That seems to be the story.
And I came back again.
When you were young, and your woman, your Black woman, probably not a lot of people encouraging you to get into stand-up back then. But did people acknowledge you were funny? Did family members think you were funny? Did you make people laugh? Were you sort of a cut up in school and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I was what's generally known as a fuck-up.
Yes.
Most of the time. And so when I found something I wanted to do, that was a bit of a relief. But then on the other hand, it's not like there was a real ghetto to show business pipeline back then, especially comedically. There just wasn't, nobody knew how to become a comedian back then. And so people were fearful about how do you do this? What are you going to do? And we hear the horror stories and young girls getting taken advantage of and so on and so forth. And so I learned to hear they're not going to let you be in show, but they're not going to help you. They're not going to. I learned to hear, I'm afraid for you. I don't know how to help you. And accept the negative for really where it was coming from. And I didn't want or need their protection in my mind at that time. I was 18. I was 20. I was invincible. It never dawned on me to be afraid or anything. I wanted to do it, so I did it.
Did your family try to dissuade you?
Like I said, they were protective. I'll put it like that. But after I had been doing stand-up a couple of years in Chicago, and I could see the trend moving west. I could see comedy was booming in California. And the only avenues at that time in Chicago was improv. And I never wanted to do improv. So I decided...
Sketch, like not the club, but sketch, improv, Second City.
Well, yeah,
that kind of
improv
stuff.
Second City.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to do that. So I told my mother I was going to California. Back then in 1974, 5, 6, people were still hitchhiking. And they also had these drive-away services where people would pay you to drive their car across the country.
Yeah.
And kids were hitchhiking together and doing that drive-away thing. So I said, I'm going to California one way or the other if I have to hitchhike. And my mother was like, you're not going to do it. And I was like packing to go. And she said, okay, wait a minute. For your birthday, I'll give you a trip to California. 2 weeks you paid for, and you'll see for yourself what it's about.
How are you going to get here? I mean, is she going to buy an airline ticket?
Ticket, a round-trip ticket,
Airline.
and 2 weeks at the Continental Hyatt House.
So she's going to fly you out here
Yes.
and let you hang out.
For my birthday.
Did she have faith in you, or was this like a way to show you, like, look, we'll take you out there so you see that it's not going to work out?
It was more like, this girl is crazy. She's going to do it anyway, so I might as well help her as much as I can.
Marsha, excuse me, we're glancing over something. The Riot House in the early 70s, the Hyatt House, where...
The Hyatt Riot.
Yes, that's where your mom is going to put you up for 2 weeks on Sunset Boulevard in the heyday of the...
Rock and roll.
Yeah.
See, I love her.
Yes, but we didn't know those things.
Okay.
I just knew it was next door to the Comedy Store.
Yes.
I tell you, I was single-minded. I'm going to do stand-up. I'm going to the Comedy Store. This is the hottest place in the country. That's where I'm going. So when I got to the room and I could look over and see the Comedy Store, I was happy as I could be. And I had no intention of going back to Chicago. So I think I got there on a Saturday night. By Monday, I had found a job at an answering service in Beverly Hills. I had cashed in my round-trip ticket and gotten the money for that and planned to stay. So I did.
Were you going across to the Comedy Store back then?
The first night I got there, I went to the Comedy Store, and the guy at the door had on a pair of tennis shorts, and he had a sweater tied around his neck and a polo shirt. And I said, I'm a comedian from Chicago. Can I come in? And he said, oh, yeah, baby, don't worry about it. I'm John Witherspoon, and I'll introduce you to, the comics as they come in, and you can just sit in the back and you get free drinks. And I think back then they had hamburgers at the Comedy Store. I think you got food. And so he said, you can stay for both shows if you want. So that's what I did. And as comedians came in, he would introduce me. And on the second show, this guy came in, and Spoon came over and said, I want you to meet this is Paul Mooney. Mm-hmm. And Paul said, Mr. Paul Mooney. And I said, yes, sir. And from that point on, I was
Who
there.
else was floating in and out of there back then?
Oh, everybody. I think Letterman might have emceed the first show. I don't know who did the second show, but it was Letterman, Leno, Jimmy Walker was there. Byron Allen was outside because he was too little to come in. He was only about 13, 14. Couldn't come in.
These guys, I just saw Byron Allen last week. They started in show business when they were. I mean, I don't mean as a child actor. It's one thing to be a child actor, but it's another thing to start doing stand-up when you're like 13.
To seek it out.
And then he was hosting, I don't know, America's Fallops and Blunders or whatever. Those ordinary people, extraordinary people. I don't know. He was like 18 on a network, primetime network show. Like, just, that's it.
Yeah.
I don't know how that works. I mean, you weren't far behind. You're just a few years.
No, I was way too young for this, but I was determined, and the guys were very protective of me and embraced me and gave me advice and respectful, and they became like my brothers, and told me what to watch out for and all that kind of stuff. So I was pretty charmed.
How was your mom with you not coming back?
She knew me. Uh-huh. She knew I wasn't coming, and I got to repay her faith in me in a lot of ways. But when I did DC Cab,
the movie,
and
with Mr. T and
Gary Busey.
Gary Busey. That's right, because Gary Busey was like in every single movie.
Yeah.
Back then. Yeah.
And
Busey.
So, they had a Chicago premiere, and I got to take my mother to a premiere of a movie. And we got in there, we sit down, And the movie started, and when it, after the previews and everything, and it finally starts, she looked up and said, "It's a real movie." And I understood what that meant.
That's
and
cool.
That was a sweet moment.
Was Mitzi Shore she was running the Comedy Store back
course.
then, right?
Right, yeah. Back then it was Art LeBeau's club, and it was the original room.
Art LeBeau, the radio
Yeah.
DJ?
And they had dances and everything in the main room. Mitzi just had the original room.
of the front room.
Right.
Yeah, so what was Mitzi like?
I never really talked to Mitzi a lot. I didn't understand the culture that was developing with Mitzi and the boys, which was because she became like their house mother and that sort of thing. I started in Chicago where you go out and hustle gigs. My first gig, I was a house comic in a club with a jazz band. And I managed to get there before all of the veterans, and they were mad at me. But I secured the house comic gig. So it never dawned on me that I should develop a relationship with the club owner beyond booking and pay me. So that's pretty much all I did. I didn't really seek advice and all that sort of thing, or conversation much with Mitzi. So I don't really know her that well. I didn't really know her that well.
Yeah, I guess she felt like she had to be the mom to a lot of the boys, but maybe she didn't feel she needed to be the mom to the girls.
Well, it wasn't that many of us girls back then. And girls, the women were considered novelty acts, pretty much. When they developed that 3-act thing that they had back then at the Ice House and Comedy Store La Jolla, and they started the Laugh Stop in Newport Beach, and they would have those 3 acts. The middle act was always a novelty act or a woman.
Oh, the middle would be
A guitar player, a jugger, a prop guy, or a girl.
Oh, so you were just considered novelty.
Right. So when I got booked at the Laugh Stop, I told Mike Haley, I said, I can do whatever these guys are doing. I can bring in as many people. I got as much time. I want to be a headliner.
Yeah.
And he said, okay. That's how I got my first headline gig.
Well, speaking of your mom, so I know that she had a request that you don't come out publicly
Yes.
as gay until she passed, which you honored.
Yes.
When did you tell her?
I was in my 30s when I finally told my mother. And she said, I know. And that pissed me off. It just pissed me off. And it pisses me off every time somebody says that. It just makes me nuts. Not only because you couldn't know, maybe you knew, whatever, but if you knew, and if it was okay, why did you put me through all of that crap? If you knew and it was okay, why did you make it a stigma? Why was it a negative? Screw you. I don't appreciate that. I know. So that bothered me much more than her saying that she didn't want me to come out publicly while she was alive, because I understood that. I understood that, knowing how people treated me, being gay, I understood her fear of being outed as a gay mom. It just, at that time, we look at history from our perspective now. Things are much better. But back then, it was a really something people didn't talk about, or, and parents felt like they were failures if their child wasn't normal. But I had been normal my whole life. You had just not allowed that, and had actively steered me away from what you saw. And I see this in a lot of people with their kids. They're like, oh, no, you don't want to wear the dress. Oh, no, you don't want to wear that, you don't want to play with you want to play with dolls. And she's like, I don't want the stupid doll. I want a baseball mitt. But they try to actively steer you into where they want you to go, and it doesn't work. It just makes the kid miserable.
Agreed. Do you have brothers and sisters? Could they get some grandkids out of them?
One sister, and yes, they did.
All right. Well, then she's cool.
Yeah.
It is a weird request. Wait till I die.
Nah,
Back in the day. What year was the request?
It had to be late 70s, early 80s.
Oh, really? Oh, that is, different time.
Yeah.
So I always thought, like, if someone came out to me saying "I know" would comfort them, right? Like, oh, I know, and then
Well, it's better than "Holy shit, I'm going to kill myself." I mean, somewhere. I mean, that's the extreme. That's the other one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. I do think a lot of parents say "I know," but they don't really think about the implications of I know."
No. Yeah, well, of course you knew. You've been trying to, like I said, reprogram me my whole life. So, of course you knew. So why did you do that to me? See, that brings that question straight. Why did you do that?
Was she like trying to set you up with guys and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I married one.
Oh, it worked.
Nah, for a little bit. I got married when I was 18 years old.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, we missed that part.
Bought a house, bought a car.
Oh, so when you came out here, though, you were married then?
No, I was divorced.
Oh, you got divorced. You got married for like 14 months when you were 18?
I got married when I was 18. We separated when I was 19, divorced when I was 20. Then I found stand-up.
Oh, all right.
You know how, like, when girls have a big breakup, they get like a major haircut or they do something transformational. She just decided to move to California and do stand-up.
There you go.
You ever keep track of that guy?
I have no idea.
Oh, really?
No.
Don't want to know.
Yeah, he didn't want to find me either. So apparently,
Yeah, well, once he started seeing you on TV, I don't know. I feel
never
like
reached
maybe a
out.
phone
Never
would have
nothing.
rang.
Nope.
By the way, Marsha's doing something with the Netflix. I guess that's the comedy festival.
Yes.
Coming up May 6th at the Masonic Theater. May 6th, Masonic. You know who else is on that bill?
No.
Okay. It was just a note that was handed me, but we can probably figure that one out.
No, I'm doing my Book of Marsha show. People told me when I came back and they found out, whatever they found out, oh, you should write a book. And I'm not a writer, but I do stand-up. So I said, I can tell you my story. It's better than I can write it. And so my autobiography is woven through my stand-up in this Book of Marsha show with music and pictures and just a lot of fun.
One-woman show.
A one-woman show with drinks, but you don't get one.
Oh,
Masonic Theater is at Hollywood Forever as well. So
Yeah. All right. So that's what you'll be doing on May 6th.
Yes.
Okay.
I have a quick question for Marsha. I was watching a special you did with Howie Mandel back in 1987, and you held a cigarette the entire time on stage. I don't recall you taking a drag of the cigarette. It was just lit and in your hand.
Yeah, I loved holding a cigarette, and one of the first things I said to Harry, because Selma Diamond died of cancer. And
Wait, are we talking about Harry Anderson?
Harry Anderson, when I got on
From
Night
Night
Court,
yeah.
Selma Diamond had just passed the year before,
Who
and then
was-
Flo Howlett
Who
died.
you replace?
Flo I replaced.
Oh, okay.
But they both died of cancer. So everybody had stopped smoking. And we were talking about smoking, and I had quit smoking. And Harry said, I don't know why we did that. I said, the only reason to smoke is to look cool. And I started smoking to look cool when I was a kid, and I took it on stage so I would look cool, and it was help. I would smoke a little bit on stage, but I just watched a clip of myself on Soul Train, which was before that, and I'm chewing gum. I'm doing stand-up and chewing gum. It's like, what was I thinking?
Harry Anderson passed semi-recently,
Yeah.
2018. Yeah. Interesting guy. He was a magician. Not a likely sitcom star, but it worked. But I didn't know. I never met the man. Was he a decent guy?
Oh, Harry was a sweetheart. But Harry was also a scamp. You know, his turn on Cheers as Harry the Hat is what got him Night Court. And Harry the Hat was probably closer to Harry Anderson than Harry Stone.
From Night Court.
Right.
No, he liked the ladies?
No, he was a scamp as far as Harry would take your watch.
Oh, is that kind of scamp?
Yeah, Harry
Makes your
would
watch disappear.
Sleight of hand
he
kind of
would
stuff.
come across as a sweet, lovable guy, and the next thing you know, he's got your wallet. I mean,
He actually looks in that picture like he's central casting out of the movie The Sting.
He's a street
Yeah.
performer. He was a street magician.
Yeah, I never, like I said, I didn't know a lot about him. He just seemed like an interesting guy that came from an unlikely place.
Yeah, he's a sweetheart.
Graduated from North Hollywood High as a valedictorian.
North Hollywood High?
Yeah.
I went to North Hollywood High.
Yeah.
I knew. And he was a great student from North Hollywood.
Very smart, very sweet. And his whole family, you know, the Night Court was a big family.
Yeah.
And so I know his kids and everything. He was both Harry Stone and Harry the Hat. But people don't really see as much of the Harry the Hat persona as Harry really was.
You want to hang out and do some news with us?
Sure.
We'll take a quick break, come back, do some news with Marsha Warfield right after this.
You're about to hear a preview of The Jordan Harbinger Show with the world's best counterfeiter. How long does it take to print $250 million?
5 months. It needs to be worthwhile. It's going to need to be perfect.
12,500 kilos, or over 8 Toyota Camrys, or 6 Ford F-150s. That is multiple metric tons of cash. You must have been f***ing stoked, man, because you knew you were going to put $20 bills all over all of that and then just never work again.
Yes. By design, there are people specifically looking for you all the time. This is all they do. You can tell them whatever you want. They're not dummies. I mean, this is as high as it goes. This is top of the line.
For more on how Frank Barassa printed his own fortune and got away with it, check out episode 488 on The Jordan Harbinger Show, anywhere you get your podcasts.
It's 2024, so let me tell you something important. If you get hurt this year, your injury could be worth millions of dollars. If you're ever injured, you should check out Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm. Over 100 offices nationwide, more than 1,000 lawyers, more than 20 billion with a B, recovered for 500,000 plus clients. Morgan & Morgan has a proven track record of fighting to get you the full and fair compensation. They've been fighting for people for over 35 years, and I think they have some experience. So racing one of my vintage cars, it's hard. Oh, I make it look hard. But submitting an injury claim with Morgan & Morgan is easy. So if you have an issue, talk to my friends over at Morgan & Morgan, right, Dawson?
If you're ever injured, you can check out Morgan & Morgan. Their fee is free unless they win. For more information, go to forthepeople.com/Adam or dial #law, #529 from your cell phone. That's forthepeople.com/Adam or #law, #529 from your cell. This is a paid advertisement.
A lot of people sitting here drinking, having a good time. Yeah. I like to get drunk too. All the way up until throwing up time. Then I don't like that shit no more. That's when I start saying real stupid things like, I shouldn't have had that last one. Like that's the one that did it. The first 17 I had don't count. That last one fucked me up. And when you're drunk, you lose control of yourself too. Oh, sure you do. When you're drunk, it becomes impossible to whisper. What? I peed on myself.
Marsha Warfield is on the Adam Carolla Show.
Yes, she is. And for dates, you can go to marshawarfield.com and watch her one-woman show. All right. We'll do a little news.
Yeah.
Marsha will hang out, and we'll see what's going on in the world.
So 2 men have been charged with murder in the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl parade shooting.
Yeah.
That killed 1 woman and injured more than 20 people last week.
2 men.
2 men. Remember, they 2 juveniles were charged?
Yeah.
Well,
problem is when you say man, I thought, like, well, of course, it wasn't a woman that did the shooting, but 2
compared
adults.
to the 2 adult men.
Okay.
Compared to the 2 juveniles who were charged. So the story is that it was just because they were looking at each other weird. Like 4 guys come up to one guy and go, "Hey, why are you staring at us?" And he's just like, "Why are you staring at me?" And then guns drawn, and they just start shooting.
There's got to be a higher threshold for shooting. You know what I mean? It can't just be a glance. It's got it, or disrespected me or some.
Yeah, they were arguing about why they were staring at each other.
That's such a. Also, it doesn't seem like celebratory Chiefs fans. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's weird that they even showed up.
Yeah.
Like it's just a bunch of people who want to drink some beers and have a good time and celebrate a Super Bowl victory. So there are 2 adults in this
2 adults.
mix.
Yes. And one of the guys who opened fire said it was stupid. I just pulled out a gun and started shooting. I shouldn't have done it. Yeah, so he regrets that he had a Glock 9mm handgun.
Did he even hit any of the people he was aiming at? I felt like he hit everyone but the person he was aiming at.
No, both guys who are charged are in the hospital right now, so they both got hit.
But then what was the first week and a half of news about 2 juveniles?
They were charged. They at a news conference, prosecutors will not clarify if those minors had any connection to the adults. So they're still.
All right, but here's what I'm saying with the news. It was a week and a half of 2 juveniles did the shooting and are in custody, but we can't give you their name because they're juveniles. Right. There wasn't any talk about adults that were in hospitals that had been shot.
Right.
And there was tape of the one guy running and everyone tackled him.
Yeah.
That guy didn't look like he got hit by anything.
Right.
But why did it take a week and a half to figure out that there were 2 adult males who did the shooting and were in the hospital?
That is the big question.
I think
so. Yeah, so he
do a little better job of sorting.
Yes, and also the guy said he told detectives that he hesitated shooting because he knew there were kids around. But then he heard somebody yell, "I'm going to get you," which he took to mean, "Oh, they're going to kill me. I better shoot this guy first." And as he was running away, decided to just start firing.
As he was running away?
As the guy who said, "I'm going to get you," started running away, he's like, "Oh, I'm still going to fire at him."
In this just huge group, like a throng of humanity.
Yeah.
There's little to no chance your bullets would find their mark. They're probably going to hit some kids and a poor woman. It just... here's my thing. My feeling is I put crime in sort of 2 separate baskets. There's the crime of the wife that's poisoning the husband, who's trying to collect the insurance. There's the crime of the guy who's going to set his dry cleaning business on fire so he can collect. There's sort of motivated stuff, right? And then there's also like, I'm going to rob this person who's at the ATM, but it's motivated by something. And then there's, I'm going to push this person onto the tracks of the subway and I've never met this person before.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to just start randomly firing. Those people I want pulled out of society. Those are the scariest people amongst us. Those are the serial killers in society.
Acting on impulse
But this
alone.
guy adds dumb.
Yeah, well, dumb with a gun pulled out.
I mean, he admitted to it. First of all, he confessed.
Yes.
I just pulled out a Glock and started shooting. It's pretty much, you're just signing the ticket to go to jail. There's no more to discuss. Who does that?
Right.
Even if you did, no, I didn't, or I don't. He's not
dumb
saying
guy
that.
does it.
Nothing
Lawyer needs
did he?
to-
But
yeah.
a guy who would shoot into a crowd is a guy who would say, "Yes, I did it. Take me away."
Yeah. So the random violent people are the people. There was a tape from the subway where a guy was playing a cello and this chick just came up and whacked him on the back of the head with a metal water bottle. And it's like, I want her out. I want her out too. I want any rando physical crime people and there's nothing in it for them. Like if somebody said, I will give you $100,000 to go to the Chiefs game and start firing indiscriminately into the crowd, at least I could wrap my mind around that. This is not that. All the rando
We don't
physical
know.
stuff.
We don't know just how disrespectful those stares were. I mean, we need the
That's
tape
true.
so we can see, because there are people who I can imagine who would look at me and I'd probably want to shoot them.
Like, how high was that eyebrow up?
Just what?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Which is why,
I almost got triggered. I almost triggered. I started reaching for my piece.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, true. All right.
Yeah. So remember, police did know something, because remember, initially they were like, "Hey, this is not a terrorist threat. This is a."
But who are the
terrorist
two
attack."
juveniles now?
They still haven't. Yeah, we're
don't
still
care.
waiting on that information.
Well, they weren't fast enough to get away. That's
Yeah.
Right. Right. So Neuralink, that's the microchip that Elon Musk has been putting into, or wants to put into people's brains, and they tested it on a guy, and he said he's recovering. He actually made a full recovery. Well, now Elon is saying that this guy with a microchip in his brain can control a computer mouse using only his mind. So that's how far we're getting now.
I would like to be able to control not a mouse, but I would like to be able to control rats with my mind. I could take over New York City. I'm sure. I know it's not the same
I
thing.
thought you need like a flute for that.
Yeah, Piper will work nicely for that. There was a movie called Willard,
Right, that's
where there was a guy
Michael
had
Jackson.
Dominion.
You could have
Ben.
sing to Ben. And,
The two of us look no more.
You want to control rats? That's what you want to.
I think I could take over. Like Aquaman's a chump because he just controls, pike and whales
You're
and
so
otters
limited.
and shit. But if I'm not in the ocean, then you're screwed, Aquaman. There's only so much you can do. You know what I mean? I'm not most of us, but rats you could take over New York City.
so are you Rat Man or Piper dude?
Well, I would say things like this. I would say to like local businesses, hey, you got a nice pizza place here, and you would pay an exterminator to make sure there wasn't any cockroaches or rats or anything that would hurt business. So, for a stipend a month, I can make sure the rats don't, hang out in your pizza parlor, and $149 a month, and then I just go across the street.
at least not in the front. We won't let them. You'll
Yeah.
have the rats, but we won't let
I'd
them
talk
come out
to
in the
city.
front.
I'd talk to city officials. I'd get on the payroll. I think I could work something.
Yeah.
With dominion over the rats. But anyway, he can control a mouse.
A computer mouse. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Because
I realized just what happened.
controlling one mouse is really not going to get you far. Yeah. Yeah. So
cursor.
now
It's about the size of a quarter. Goes on your brain.
everyone's worried about the future now, and rightfully so.
But haven't you already thought about something and then go to your computer and the first thing that comes up on Google is what you thought about? It's
Yeah.
like, I'm thinking about buying a car.
Yeah.
And you say, hey, there's the car I'm thinking about. It gets kind of spooky after a while. I think we could all probably move our mice with our minds.
I think everything is, this is good because people that are disabled will be able to do X, Y, and Z, but it always ends up somewhere. And that's the part we got to worry about, right?
I don't know if we can worry about it.
Well, you don't
our
have
names
kids, right?
Used to be in the phone book, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's name was in the phone book. Well, now we're just digitally phone booked.
Yeah. Nah, I mean, I don't think, and not so much now, but my kids there might be something negative that comes from this. That's all I'm saying.
Holograms from your eyes. How bad could that be?
I'm thinking more about AI and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have
Have
faith
you tried
in the
it? Have you
system
tried
anymore.
it? Have AI write you a joke. It's the funniest thing.
We did. I'm scared that AI would be funnier than me, and so I don't want to do that.
Don't want to give AI that satisfaction.
Oh, I like
Yeah.
to get it to write poetry. It writes really good poetry.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Anything, Write me a poem about a duck with a job.
It would do it.
Sure.
What if I could control a duck?
With your mind.
I don't think there's much money as rats, but I don't
They
know.
get the air.
Yeah, that's
You get
true.
the
We do
air.
get the air. That's
sky.
true. We get the sky. All right. Good for Elon.
Well, speaking of kids, so Alabama, they just had this unusual ruling, a first of its kind decision, where they declared that frozen embryos are entitled to the same protection as humans, and those who destroy them can be held liable for wrongful death. So this stems from two lawsuits filed by 3 parents who underwent in vitro fertilization. Mm-hmm. And the frozen embryos were being stored in a fridge at a hospital, and a patient walks in to the unsecured doorway, removes some of these embryos, gets freezer burned because it's so cold, drops them, and the embryos are destroyed. So these parents are suing for wrongful death. And they didn't get it. The suit was dismissed.
A patient walked in.
Yeah, a patient
Who
walked in.
thought they were going to get a popsicle, or they're just under dementia
Unclear,
or
just
something?
went through an unsecured doorway, removed several embryos.
I think he
freezer
was
burned.
related to the guy who shot through the crowd.
Not smart.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yes.
so
Frozen embryos on a stick is what he was looking for.
So the state Supreme Court decided to now declare that embryos are considered children, and this is affecting all IVF in Alabama. Now everyone's scared to do IVF. They're very cautious.
How much
about
of
it.
that is going on in Alabama? I feel like
Not
that's
that
a California process
Right.
there. But, wow. I don't know. I feel like you need some rules in terms of when a human is a human. But, I don't know. But do you get manslaughter? Do you get murder? Like, you can't get murder one. And are they saying that the patient who dropped the vials of embryo is going to be charged with murder one?
I think the hospital is going to be charged with the wrongful death of a minor.
Yeah, but is this a money grab? Like, are they just...
I don't think so. I mean, these people think, they have all this money and all this time put into these embryos and they get destroyed. And I think there's an emotional...
Well, yeah, but you get more money if they killed your son versus killed this unviable thing, or this non...
Well, yeah, or your dog.
Yeah, you get more with your son than with your dog. This is what I'm saying. Like it would behoove the people that are suing the hospital to go as high as they can up the food chain in terms of damages. So, when you talk to attorney Mark Garagos, you go, what's this case worth? What's that case worth? And the answer is, what are the damages? What are the damages? Like when they were trying to figure out who got paid on 9/11, the guy was like, well, this guy was he worked for a Wall Street firm and he got killed and he made $500,000 a year, but that guy was a janitor, so he didn't lose as much. So they put a number to everything and they go, what are the damages? When the LAPD guy shoots the gardener, they go, all right, well, that guy made $30,000 a year. If it was 51, three times 20. He's entitled to $600,000.
Yeah,
that's what they
value. They value the.
They
person.
put a number
But what
on you.
happens when you don't know when life begins? I mean, can you have a mother suing her son or because she washed his socks and now won't have grandkids or something?
Oh, yeah. His socks. I got you. Yeah, it's hard. It's a slippery sock.
Yeah, no, it is.
It's a stiff sock.
It's a stiff and slippery sock once we
Well, I
start
don't think
doing
it'll
this.
stand up to scrutiny.
No, that sock would stand up, but not to scrutiny.
No.
Yeah. All right. Next story.
Okay, so less than 2 weeks after it became public that Taylor Swift sent a cease and desist to college student Jack Sweeney demanding that he stop publicizing data about her private jet flights. He has lawyered up, and he's going to fight it.
Yeah, because it's public information.
That's his argument. It's like, look, I'm just putting out what is already
He's
public.
just
made public by the
curating what's
FAA.
already on the internet.
But I mean, you're going against Taylor Swift.
I know.
Do you stand a chance?
Well, she's got her minions and she's got her attorneys.
I'm sure her attorneys are
That's
very
the
good.
guy?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the
but
guy.
I think he knows what he's doing. I think he understands this is a publicity thing. I'm more interested in on this commercial airline flight. When somebody tweeted this to me, there was a commercial airline flight where the tailwinds were so fast the plane got up over 800 miles an hour, which is
There's video of it, Byron. somewhere.
insane.
Can you feel that from the inside? Do you know you're going that fast?
They were shaking pretty
They were
good up there.
grasping the seats in front of them.
Yeah. Now, it would be in that case where they would tell you they suspended drink service, but I feel like now more than ever.
We need the
You know what I
drink.
mean? If there's ever a time I needed a pop, it is right now.
How long have we had that drinking problem?
Right. So what people may not realize is, a commercial jet goes like 540, 550 miles an hour. Speed of sound varies a little bit depending on what your elevation, sea level, and stuff like that. But
I have no clue.
speed of sound is probably 640 or 650 or something. So that plane is going faster than the speed of sound.
767 is speed of sound.
Oh, it's not. It doesn't move around.
Oh, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's lighter in the higher altitudes.
Is there a low? What's the lowest speed of sound? I thought it was in the 6s.
Let's see. So
You're faster than the speed of sound anyway.
Right.
At 802 or 3 or whatever they're doing.
It varies greatly from 660 to
Well, see, just Google me right.
to 790.
All right. So yeah, it varies, but you can break the speed of sound in the mid
Right.
660.
Yes, these winds are going up to 265 miles per hour. They got
Yeah.
to their destination 45 minutes early.
Yeah. Yeah. But also, I would be kind of freaked out once we're going 803 miles an hour because I don't know what that airframe is good for. Those planes are designed to go 550. You just tacked another 250 miles an hour onto that airframe, and I don't know if it's made for it.
And what about the plane in front of you?
You're going to rear end that guy,
You
screw
know.
his bumper up. They're all going to claim whiplash.
You want to see it?
Yeah, we'll watch it.
It's shaking. You got some speed wobbles there. Don't order the martini.
Let me tell you. That's where I gather up a couple alcoholics from Coach and I go, let's roll. And they're like, what's the deal? They got the drink card up there. We're going to make a move.
Synchronize your watches.
You're going for the
fingers.
You're going for the cockpit? No, we're going for the mini vodkas. Now, who's with me? Let's roll. That'll be the last words. We all charge.
Let's roll.
We all charged a drink card. Yeah, that would scare the shit out of me.
Yeah.
And I would be okay if the pilot got on the blower and, gave a few words of encouragement
Yeah,
here.
we want him to take his hands off the little rudder thing and just, comfort us.
the yoke, they call
The
it.
yoke,
Yeah.
yeah. There's two of them in there.
I
One
tell
of
the
them-
co-pilot to
He's
get on the
sitting
blower.
up there going, what the
If the
fuck? And you
co-pilot-
want me to get on the mic.
The co-pilot had any kind of sense of humor, he would use that moment to talk about the rewards mileage plus with the Visa card. We know you got a lot of choices. Those in the Platinum Club will get 3,000 reward miles to any destination in the contiguous United States. I'd just give the whole speech right then, just to have everyone would be
There's a
so.
guy in the back of the plane who wants you to make an announcement right now.
I think my thing would work because I think if they usually do the spiel where they're telling you to get the United Rewards card, the
Yeah.
Visa card, or whatever. That's when they're coming down. I would say to the co-pilot, just do it now. And he'd go, how's that going to help? And I'd go, people are going to be so fucking confused. They're it's going to take their mind off this.
Yeah, now they'll be mad at you.
They're going to think it's business as usual. They're going to think we're just not a care in the world up here. We're just going about our business here.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've picked up a little speed.
And looks like we're going to arrive at our destination about 45 minutes early. So now would be the time for me to tell you about the Visa Platinum card with American miles.
Get 900 extra miles.
Go right into it. It would work. If I was making my move for the booze cart, I would probably pause and be like, what the fuck was he talking about?
Yeah, you could have saved all the booze on the plane,
That's
too.
right. Mm-hmm.
So you're going to have a mutiny and make the guy comfort you.
For the greater good.
Not a mutiny. I could pick the alcoholics out, and they'd be white knuckling it back there, and I'd just pick a few of them out, and I'd go, let's roll.
I think the alcoholics would be fine with it. Like,
yeah, but they don't have any booze.
oh, okay.
Right, there's no service right now.
You need booze. That's why we got to roll, Marsha.
Yeah, but they're probably drunk. Maybe that's why we in this problem. The pilot's up there drunk.
Yeah, they don't control the tailwinds.
How do we know he belonged in that airspace anyway?
Oh, could have been
Different
at the wrong altitude.
Yeah, no, you made a wrong turn. It's happened to you.
Sure, I've turned down the wrong street.
You turned down the wrong street, and
200 knots worth of
I
tailwind.
think what would meet us when we made that turn, what we imagined is different for you and me. The danger, I would imagine, making a wrong turn, ending up someplace, might be a little different.
You
for
both
and
panic
me.
differently.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, if there's any time you needed some booze, it'd be on that flight. All right. Marsha, let me give you a plug here. MarshaWarfield.com is where you go for the live shows and the bookings. And you can find out where she could be. Also, on Night Court as well, because they brought it back.
She's back.
During the season finale.
She's back. Shoot her a tweet at Marsha Warfield as well. Noa Tishby is going to be in here, and we'll talk to her right after this. Z-Biotics. Oh, man, I got a surefire way to wake up feeling fresh after a night of drinking. Z-Biotics, pre-alcohol probiotic drink. Oh, I got to tell you, had during the Super Bowl, knew I was going to have a couple of cocktails watching the game, and it might go on into overtime. So I took my Z-Biotics. That's right. I take it. World's first genetically engineered probiotic invented by PhD scientists for rough mornings after drinking. When you drink alcohol, it turns into a toxic byproduct in the gut. That's the blame for the rough day next day. It's not dehydration. Z-Biotics produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to make Z-Biotics your first drink of the night. I'm telling you, it works. I've done it more than once. Drink responsibly, and you'll feel your best tomorrow. It tastes, well, it doesn't taste bad. It doesn't taste like much. It's in a little glass vial, and just shoot it down and make that your first drink of the night. It's Z-Biotics, right, Dawson?
Go to zbiotics.com/Carolla to get 15% off your first order when you use Carolla at checkout. Z-Biotics is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee, so if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/Carolla and use the code Carolla at checkout for 15% off. Thank you, Z-Biotics, for sponsoring this episode and our good times.
Well, good news. It's O Rewards bonus points month at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Shop in the store or do it online to receive points and get rewards sent straight to your phone or inbox. Get 2, 3, 4, even 5 times bonus points on select purchases. Receive bonus points on select items throughout the store like wiper blades, antifreeze, coolant, parts cleaner, motor oil, and more. Those bonus points can help get you to your next rewards even faster. You'll receive a $5 reward for every 150 O Reward points to use on your next in-store or online purchase. Members can check points and rewards online anytime. If you're already an O Rewards member and not receiving your rewards, Just add an email address or mobile phone number. Get a $10 reward for updating your existing account. If you're not an O Rewards member yet, signing up is easy, quick, and simple. Just do it online at O'ReillyAuto.com or in store at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
It's time to check Adam's voicemail.
Hey, Steve from Dallas. 92 things to do before you die. Have 2 hand grenades, one in each hand, and you pull the pin out with your mouth.
You can leave us a message at 888-634-1744.
Well, actress and activist Noa Tishby is here. Uncomfortable Conversations with a Jew is the name of the book. It'll be available for pre-order wherever you find finer books.
It's available now.
Oh,
yeah.
For pre-order.
Pre-order.
Yes.
Co-written with Emmanuel Acho. Co-written with, because Emmanuel Acho he did Uncomfortable Conversations with a Black Man.
Yeah.
That was a New York Times bestseller.
I didn't hear the co-written part. I just heard co-written with Emmanuel Acho, and I was like, I don't know what you're saying.
Oh, yeah. Those are weird words.
Right. Oh, good.
Slurred.
So you got it.
Yeah. So we got it. So we decided to write a book together about the Jewish community because there's some shit happening.
Hot topic.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. Last time I was here, we talked about how things are horrible and about anti-Semitism, the rise of anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism, and it only got worse.
Yeah.
We didn't fix it.
I didn't fix it, no.
I
didn't fix an issue that's been around for, as long as Jews have been around.
Well, I don't really have a Jew in the fight, but I have a lot of Jewish friends, and I've always had them in my life, and I just sort of understood that they seem to be the saner of most groups, and I was kind of an easy. Okay, here's what I want to say. Sometimes you can know too much, and sometimes you have a pure grasp of things by not being buried in names and statistics and regions and dates and history. I'm just like, every Jew I've ever known has been family-oriented, peaceful, and the least likely to throw down, fight, abandon their kids, whatever, be a ne'er-do-well alcoholic dad or whatever. And that's all I need to know about that region. If you just said, I don't know, I feel that way about when Mormons and stuff. Like in general, like they're not as prone as other groups, especially in that region.
Well, exactly. So we're not going to talk about Mormons right now because I'm not that versed in that, but I'll tell you this. You're talking about anecdotally something that is true. The Jewish community is extraordinarily strong and extraordinarily family-oriented and really celebrates education and community. And these are things that it's steeped in the culture and the religion and the tradition in Israel, in everything that has to do with it. And it's a part of how we see it. This is a part of what we kind of want to give to the world. Like if everybody can be more community-oriented and charity-oriented, family-oriented, that would be a great thing. And that is true for Israel as well. But what has been happening in America and in the West is a slow burn, kind of like a slow-moving terrorist attack, delegitimizing Israel's standing in the world as a Jewish state, literally delegitimizing Israel's right to exist as a Jewish state. It prepared the ground. It's resting on top of deep-rooted anti-Semitism that exists in society as a subconscious bias and has been for a very long time. And it's been kind of, there's been a brainwashing of the population that's been going on for literally 30 years, that when October 7th happened, the greatest massacre of Jewish people since the Holocaust, so barbaric and so sadistic and so torturous and with systematic raping and mutilation of the body and with the intention of slaughtering Jews, a lot of people in Western civilization we're equivocating it. We're going, yes, but. We're saying, well, you have to have a context. And it was devastating. And for the Jewish community, this came up as, the way it showed up for the Jewish community is there were the atrocities of October 7th and the atrocities of October 8th. Because on October 7th, Hamas went out and did what they actually tell us that they're going to do. You know, that whole thing of, somebody tells you who you are, believe them the first time. That culture tells us what they want to do. Like the whole concept of Israel first, America, death to Israel, death to America, it's not a joke. There's not hyperbole. That's what they want to do, right?
Yeah.
So Hamas went out and did that. And within a day, without Israel doing anything in return, there were groups in America that were siding with Hamas, calling it resistance, calling it, decolonization. And that was something that was shocking for the majority of the Jewish community and a lot of normal people around the world, too. Honestly.
I'm trying to figure out how much of it is anti-Semitism versus just anti-American establishment. Just sort of, every college student is just a fuck stick now who just goes, you go, well, let's talk about the border. What would a sane person want? Like, they'd want a fence and they'd want security. Okay, then I'm against that. Then what about sexual? What about a man and a woman? Well,
it's a construct.
What would an older person from a saner version of this society want? What would your dad say? He'd say there's a man. Okay, well, then I'm against that. I do think there's a substantial amount of people that are literally just disagreeing with everything that, you saw it with Trump. There's Trump derangement syndromes. Like Trump said crazy things and Trump said normal things. And even when he said a normal thing, he's just, we're going to do it. If Trump said, I think aircraft should have landing gear, these people will be like, we got to get rid of the landing gear from aircraft. No more. Sorry. Belly landings. We're not doing it.
Belly landings.
We're not doing it. We're going to ditch in the Pacific. We're not doing it. Like they literally they fuck themselves because he'd just go, well, we need more police. All right. We need less police. Oh, we need a border. Well, we need less border. We need this. I think the New World Order on the college campus with the 19-year-old dingbats, way too many chicks, by the way. It's insane. They don't know from the river to the sea, or they don't know Palestine, Hamas. They don't know raid on Entebbe. They don't fucking know anything. All they know is the folks with the squares with the cardigans who are older want this, and I just want that. I just want the opposite.
And you're pointing out to something that is even more accurate than maybe we're discussing right now, because what you're and I'm generalizing, right? But a lot of the people in that movement, they also hate America.
Oh, yeah.
And
they hate their dads. They hate
their
dads, and we are. That's
I'm an immigrant,
point
right?
you move out.
I'm an
you have to
immigrant. I
hate
became
America.
an American citizen, and as an American citizen, I became so patriotic. Like, I think this is the greatest experiment of humanity. And a lot of those people, some of them are friends, are literally saying America needs to be taken. It's basically taking the baby with the bathwater. Now, what we've seen throughout history is that anti-Semitism, whenever a society shows signs of anti-Semitism, that means that there's something going off in society.
Yeah.
So it's almost an indication. It's called the canary in the coal mine. The Jews are the canary in the coal mine. And they're basically, when society starts turning on its Jews, on a minority, right? That's when you indication that there's something off in society. Now, here's the funny part about that whole campus insanity, anti-Zionism, anti-Semitism, which is, exactly the same. We can talk about that in a second, but it's exactly the same, right?
And boycott and divest has been going on for a
they're
while.
literally, that movement is literally against peace, against two-state solutions, against the Jews, right? But here's the funny part about this. Those people on college campus, they think they're speaking truth to power.
Yes.
Right? They think they're calling down, taking down the man, and we're calling down, we're taking down the patriarchy, when they're actually picking on the tiniest minority in the world that has been picked on for thousands of years. So it's almost, if it wouldn't have been so sad, it would have been a little funny that they don't even see the irony of what it is that they're doing, because taking down the patriarchy, quote unquote, have serious consequences. But going after the Jews, that's as old as time. That's literally thousands of years old.
Yes.
And that's what we're dealing right now. And I feel with the work that I do and the work that a lot of us do in the Jewish community and the allies of the Jewish community, is that our job is to point out that there's something off. Like, if you're turning against, if there's a massacre in Israel against Jewish people, and then in Western civilization people immediately call to gas the Jews, there's a problem.
Well, you're going to have a harder time convincing people because
I had a really easy time up until now.
No, convincing people, talking them out of irrational thoughts is much harder than sharing information with them
Yeah.
that then makes them think differently. Because you're insane if you think that way in the first place. And now it's sort of the difference between, you know, you might be able to talk some gangbanger out of shooting a rival gangbanger because you explain to him that this guy apologized or he said he respects you or something. But if someone is just, if their dog is commanding them to kill, good fucking luck, society.
Right.
We're not talking them out of it.
There's
And
no
their-
rational
their
conversation
shit
to be
is-
had.
Their
Right.
stuff is so far gone. I mean, it is so abundantly clear who Israel is and who their horrible neighbors are.
Yeah, and what
if-
culture, what's jihadi culture that we're dealing
Yes,
with
and
is.
if you've somehow arrived at this place, we're going to have a hard time talking you out of it because it's not based on anything.
That I couldn't agree with you more. I couldn't agree with you more. You know, when I moved to America, if you read my first book, it's called Israel, A Simple Guide to the Most Misunderstood Country on Earth. And I tell the story of Israel from a point of view of someone who's a liberal, kind of raised super progressive. So I come from the left side, as a family, left side of the political map.
Yeah.
And when I moved to America, it was really interesting for me to realize this, right? Even as an Israeli, a progressive Israeli, right? We all knew, and I'm going to say something that might be challenging for people to grasp, right? That not all cultures are equal.
Yes.
Okay?
Well,
that
you
they're
have
not,
to judge.
They're not. They're not. There is this whole concept of you do you.
Yeah.
Doesn't apply, as far as I'm concerned, to jihadism, to genital mutilation, to honor killing. It doesn't apply to that culture that belittles women, that it's a political manifestation of rape culture. I don't think that culture is as equal as it is to our culture. And I knew that as an Israeli, even a progressive one, that I came over and I would hear people say stuff like, well, every mother just wants her children to grow up and, live. And I'm like, well, if you're a jihadist, you believe that if you die, you elevate yourself to 72 virgins and you become a martyr, you become a saint. And if I kill you, that's a good thing. This doesn't equate to our culture. It just doesn't. And we have to be able to acknowledge this as liberals, if we want to be liberals, in order to strengthen the liberals and the progressives within the Muslim community that are trying to tell us for years that there's an issue. But progressives in America don't want to listen to it.
Well, here's the problem, amongst many. We, on the liberal left here, college campuses, the squad, Rashida Tlaib and all
Bless
the
their
other
heart.
fucking nut jobs
Rashida
out there.
Tlaib basically voting against condemning rape.
Well, what?
Just saying.
Yes. Okay. I'll explain them in a second too. But they've done this thing where they go, yes, there is Hamas, but then there is all the other people in the community who condemn Hamas or aren't in Hamas. And why should we throw the baby out with the bathwater? And
They're doing like what Trump did, like, oh, they're good people on both sides.
They're good people on both sides.
Which I hated.
What I've said a million times is it'd be like if we elected the Klan to run the United States, and then you went, well, the people of the United States aren't the Klan. Yes, but we let them run our state,
God.
and we voted for them. And it's like, yeah, but you don't have a horse in a hood. I know, but you understand, you could accurately call us a racist nation if, in fact, we voted the Klan into power and let them run the United States. And it would be on us.
If,
and
in fact,
Palestinians, the majority of them agree. I mean, a majority, over 50%, they're down with Hamas. That's why there is a Hamas amongst them. So you do this thing where you go, well, there's Hamas, and then there's the friendly Palestinians. No, there's Hamas, and then there's a majority of Palestinians who agree, turn a blind eye, or let them conduct business in their town.
This is what years of brainwashing through education system
Yes.
would do to you, sponsored by the United Nations, by all of us taxpayers through UNRWA, the refugee agency for Palestinian Refugee Agency of the United Nations, which needs to be dismantled.
And care.
And care, exactly. So here's the thing.
Care,
the
like,
United
ugh.
States would be considered racist even just allowing the KKK to run.
Right.
And in 2005, when Hamas proposed themselves to run in the elections, the United States, the EU, Israel, everybody tried to stop them from running. They told the Palestinian people, do not let a terrorist organization that is calling for the destruction of Israel and destruction of all Jews and for jihad being the ultimate goal, right? Don't let them run in the elections. And they did. And they won. And then since 2005, all they did, so through 2006 when they took over by force, basically a military coup, right? What they did there was brainwashed an entire generation of people, right? And built an underground world of tunnels that isn't even, Israel kind of thought that they're blocking the border from Hamas from attacking. They thought it's like an attack tunnels inside. No, these tunnels, which we're talking hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of miles, right, underground, were created in order to maintain Hamas operatives and terrorists while the people on the ground are dying.
Yes.
So it's these people are insane. They're jihadi, death cult, rape cult. They need to be stopped for the entirety of the Middle East.
And
liberals should say that in America. This is not, I'll keep asking for them.
They're so fucking ass backwards on everything all the time. You have the queers for Palestine marching and stuff. They're retarded people. They're just fucking retarded. You got
I'm going to quote Congressman Richie Torres, who's a dear friend and a huge. He's a progressive, pro-Israel progressive. He's incredible. And when he was in New York, there was a demonstration. He had a girl outside of the demonstration wearing Queers for Palestine, and he came up to her and he goes, "So Queers for Palestine? That's great. What about Palestinians for Queers? Do you have that?"
That's funny.
Yeah, he's good like that.
So, and then you have the presidents of the Ivy League schools, and it just keeps going. But
that happened about a week and a half or 2 weeks after I testified in Congress about the connection between campus anti-Semitism and terrorism financing. Let me say that again. There is a connection between campus anti-Semitism and people that are involved in terrorism financing. We know the people, we know the names, we know the connections. I testified in front of Congress for 4 hours in front of the Ways and Means Committee. And 2 weeks later, the Congress was like, well, we need to investigate more, and invited the 3 presidents, and then, 3 of them are out.
Right.
Yeah, so the question for me is not really what's Hamas up to or what the terrorists up to. They're fucking nuts. It's a lost cause. They need to be exterminated.
Yes, they do.
Sorry. They're done. They're just a dog with rabies and fleas.
And when people are calling for ceasefire, right? The reason we're so upset about these calls for ceasefire is not because we don't want ceasefire, because there was a ceasefire on October 6th, okay? And if Hamas wants a ceasefire, they should stop acting like mafia bosses. Yeah. They basically attack Israel, and then they go, oh, no ceasefire. Yeah. No, return the hostages and surrender the rest of the battalions that you have operative. Surrender, demilitarized, return the hostages, you'll get a ceasefire.
Yeah. So it's not them. Obviously, it's the squad and these people. Annie Lennox
Well, there
are
a lot of people that are signing these letters for ceasefire, not knowing why they shouldn't. You cannot sign a letter for ceasefire if it doesn't call for Hamas being surrender, demilitarize, and return the hostages.
But also, there's some gaslighting going on, which is like they're talking about Benjamin Netanyahu like he's running the war over there, like it's not done by committee. And so what they do is a kind of secret thing. They go like, well, we stand with Israel. Nancy Pelosi, she'll be like, we stand with Israel, but we don't stand with Benny Netanyahu. And it's like, he's not the one who's doing it. They're doing it. The committee is doing it, right? Everyone has gotten together. It'd be like going, well, I like Biden, but I don't like what Trump's doing. But it'd be like if Trump and Biden and the whole war cabinet, right and left, everyone just got together and went, this is what we're doing, which you don't hear.
Yes. The war cabinet right now is comprised of the right-wing government and Benny Gantz and Gadi Eisenkot and Gideon Sa'ar, which are more centrists, and they're making decisions on the war. Listen, this was a war that was forced on Israel that is beyond horrific, and people are forgetting that there's the north as well. There's a north of Israel. Like, people think that Israel is in Gaza and that's it. Israel being attacked constantly, both from the south, still from Hamas, and from the north, from Hezbollah. And I want to point out to something else, right? So there are hundreds of thousands of refugees in Israel right now. Nobody talks about. So in the north and the south, they're all evacuated. People just basically left. There's anti-tanks missiles every single day, like dozens and dozens and dozens of them that are exploding homes and killing people and going into, bases and farms and so on, right? There was a resolution in 2006 that was signed by Hezbollah, by the Lebanese government, by the United Nations, a UN resolution, Security Council resolution by Israel, called Resolution number 1701. That resolution was basically the resolution that told that Hezbollah needs to be disarmed and move north of Israel, about 18 miles north of the Litani River, right? What happened? And then the UNIFIL, UN forces basically to maintain the peace right there between Israel and Lebanon of Hezbollah, which is, again, Hezbollah is Iran, Hamas is Iran, it's all Iran, right? What happened since 2006 is slowly, UNIFIL left, so the UN forces left, and Hezbollah just started moving towards the border and like basically sitting on the border. And now Hezbollah is on the border shooting at Israel. If Israel has to go to the north and go into Lebanon to retaliate against Hezbollah, guess what the world is going to do? The world's going to be up in arms because a resolution that Hezbollah signed, they're not fulfilling a UN resolution, right? So we're in a position right now which the world doesn't even know that there's crap going on in the north every single day. It's evacuated from citizens. It's constantly under attack. And Israel needs to deal with that threat as well. Right? Yeah. But we're going to do it, and we have to do it. We're going to have to do this. And I'm asking, if you're not calling for Hezbollah to cease fire right now, then don't call on Israel to cease fire when Israel gets into Lebanon to take care of that threat.
So what's up with the squad? What's up with the folks here? Like, to me, it's so obvious. So what happens with the squad and Rashida Tlaib and all those fucking idiots? You guys get what you deserve.
Bless their hearts, as we say in the South.
Phoning these people in, you fucking idiots. So what you get is like, look, I got a boy and a girl. And, they're twins, they're the same age, and it's like if people keep saying to me, well, it seems like you favor the boy over the girl. I go, no, I've got great love for my daughter. She's grounded right now.
Why? Because
she came home after 8 p.m., but she's 17. It was she's grounded. Anyway, the boy's riding he's riding one of those scooters through the house right now. And then they go, but it does seem like you talk a lot of negative stuff about, no, there's great love. There's great love. Hold on, I have to beat her with my flip-flop for a second, and we can talk about this. It does seem like maybe you don't like your daughters. That's what? No, there's great love.
We love the Jews.
Respect.
We love Israel.
There's great respect, but you have to understand she's a cunt who won't shut up. But there's great love. There's great love and respect. Hold on, the boy's ripping a bong load. You need a light? Daddy's got a lighter. Okay, son. Okay. Yeah, that's what they do. And my thing is, I don't believe you bitches anymore. Not. You're anti-Semitic. You don't like Jews. I don't know why. I guess it's a part of the world you come from. I don't know why. Just fucking admit it. But you won't admit it. And they're never disciplined because it's like, but everybody needs to be respected. They're so fucking full of shit. It drives me nuts.
Listen, I couldn't agree with you more. There's nothing I can even say to that other than like it's the same. To that example, it's like, no, we love Israel, except it's all about the Benjamins.
Right.
We love Israel, except from the river to the sea means an inspirational. No, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free means eliminating the Jews from the state of Israel, destroying the state of Israel, and ethnically cleansing the Jews from their ancestral land.
Yes.
That's what from the river to the sea, Palestine will be.
Democrats, you got what you got it. And now they're fucked up because Biden is kind of worried about the nutty lefty wing of his party and trying to sort of keep everyone happy. So
it's very hard to keep them happy. They're a little sour.
No, they're never satisfied.
Never.
They're never happy.
They're never satisfied. No.
It's called a progressive movement. I tell all the time, it's got progress and movement in the title, and it doesn't. You want it to stop and for them to be happy? There is no stop.
Right.
They go right on to the next grievance. They're just grievance oriented. And they're kind of dumb, too. Like, they're not intelligent people.
Listen, specifically about this issue, I'm kind of like we're looking around and are in complete shock. A lot in the Jewish community were shocked because the Jewish community predominantly votes Democratic, and the Jewish community was on the front line of every single social justice movement throughout history, including the 60s, including whatever, right? All the way back to, and all of a sudden, the Jewish community turned around and was like, there were hundreds of women being raped in Israel, and the women's groups are not saying anything. Nothing.
Well,
okay, it's crazy.
Also, first off, the great Dennis Prager always says the Jews should preach what they practice. Yeah. They practice education, they practice family, And then they vote Democrat and they shut the fuck up whenever the subject comes up about another group, like the black community or something like that. So,
by the way, this is to take us back. The reason that there's such a schism between the black community and the Jewish community was one of the main reasons that Emmanuel Acho and I wanted to write this book, because there's a real issue, and the only people that win when two minority communities fight against each other are the people in power. And it's stupid. It should stop.
Yeah. I can explain to you what the problem the black community has with the Jewish community
Please
is,
do.
because
I
I
wonder
understand it very well.
Yeah.
And I've been talking about this for 25 years. No one ever listens to me. I'm just right about everything.
Right.
The blacks had an injustice done to them as a community, Jim Crow, slavery, and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
The Jews have also had a few atrocities.
Just a couple.
On their watch.
Just a handful throughout the thousands of years.
The Jews are very successful because they focused on family and education. The blacks have fallen off because they did not focus on family and education. And there's nothing worse than you saying the reason we're not thriving in this community is because of this atrocity that happened in the past. Well, there's nothing worse than a group who is thriving with their own atrocity that happened in a shorter period of time historically. You don't have to go back as far to get to the Holocaust. And then in terms of, oppression and general society shunning, I think the Jews have the blacks beat in terms of historically and worldwide in terms of who's got a bigger target on their back, yet the Jews thrive. So nobody wants, it's essentially this. You're saying, I couldn't win this running race because my elbow was injured the week before, and then your coach goes, that guy had a blown out knee the week before, after you hurt your elbow, and he just won the race. And then you hate that guy. That's the way it works. That's the dynamic. No one wants to talk about it. It's the answer. It's sad, but that's where we're at. And the Jews in general are hated because they prosper. That's about it. Nobody wants to be living their fucking shit mud hut over there, eating chicken shit for dinner and seeing people thriving next door. It's all envy. And it's a problem because the way to get everyone to like you would be to fail. But
fuck that.
And sadly, that's what's going on with the black community as well. I've been talking about it for years.
Yeah, I don't know exactly. I don't want to speak.
No one will agree with me because it's super unpopular.
Right,
but that's
of course,
the truth.
That's your job.
There's no other way to explain it. You guys march with blacks. There's nobody's been riding shotgun for the blacks more than the Jews. There's no reason they should have this feeling toward the Jews. And it's only this dynamic.
Right.
So
there's also been a brainwash, like an actual activation from the Palestinian movement and the
Black
Russians.
Lives Matter had to fucking side with Palestine and put a hang glider on there?
Way before Black Lives Matter. Like Angela Davies and there's like a KGB infiltration. There's a whole shit happening there between the black community and the Jewish community, and we got to hear. All I can say is this in terms of the Jewish community, right? So if I would tell you that there's been a group of people, and not a particularly militarized group of people, just kind of like studious and kind of geeky group of people that throughout history, every empire that had the power tried to systematically and intentionally destroy them. Very small group. And throughout history, every time throughout history, they didn't just survive, they also thrived. And I'd tell you you'd be like, that's statistically, that's impossible. But I'd be like, that didn't just happen one time. That happened again and again and again and again and again and again and again. There's something about the Jewish community and the Jewish way of living, and it's not a secret. This is not some sort of a weird, it's literally all online, right? How the Jewish community, how people live, what we prioritize, what it is that's important, that brings results. Results, and it's a beautiful thing that I, as an author and a Jewish activist, am all about Jewish pride. Like I wear more stars of David than I can carry. Because a lot of the time the Jews, because they're so afraid, right? Like epigenetically afraid to be rounded up, slaughtered, killed. Yes. That's why October 7 was so triggering for the entire world Jewish community, because the same stories from the Holocaust came back and happened again, right?
Yes.
But that never helped. So my whole thing is to be proud of who we are. Open up to show what it is that we do that really works. Be more about making the world a better place. And we're gonna survive this moment in time as well.
Do you think couple things?
We're not very good with like we're very good. It's kind of like Jews are very good with what's it's called post-traumatic growth. Mm-hmm. So the Jewish community is very good with that. We have a post-trauma and then we rally up and we're like, all right, let's just make lemonade out of this shit.
The other gaslighting that goes on, especially with Biden, is white supremacy is the biggest problem this nation faced. The number one terrorist threat is white supremacy. And then they all do this thing where they go like, look, I'm not for anti-Semitism, but Islamophobia is not. It's like, okay, you're not comparing the numbers. Just don't match up. You're talking about Islamophobia being a huge problem. By the way, we're right to be a little Islamophobic in this country. They do tend to, per capita, blow up more shit than other groups do.
I'll call it jihadism, and we'll agree with you on that.
Yes. Okay. That's number one. Number two, they bring up white supremacy like every 10 minutes as if that's the real problem that's going on in this country, not the Jew hatred. They act like it's a bunch of shit kickers driving in a pickup truck. Like that's the Jews' problems. Right. No, it's every fucking idiot on every college campus. That's the Jews' problem.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, it's
they're such liars, by the way. It's so fucking
obviously,
sad.
Let's just make sure that it's clear that we're against all hate and it's all crap and shouldn't be around. No doubt.
There's some judgment that can.
I told you what my judgment is.
I don't think.
Listen, I very much judge jihadi culture. Mm-hmm. Very much so. Super judge it. I'm not agnostic about it. It's terrible. It's fucked up and it needs to be killed. Right? There's no. That's just it. And if you're equivocating it, and if you're like, well, in that culture, what? In that culture, it's okay to honor kill? No, absolutely not. But here's the thing: when people bring up, there's no doubt that anti-Semitism is the biggest kind of hate. First of all, it's the largest number of hate crimes per capita, the religious-based hate crimes in America. That's number one. And number two, when you say anti-Semitism and you immediately have to cover up your ass and say Islamophobia.
They all do.
That's, which a lot of them do. That, to me, and I understand this when I talk to my friends from the Black community, that's like saying literally 5 days after the George Floyd thing happened, Blue Lives Matter.
Right. All right. Can we
At that
get
moment
some
in time,
of your Jewish
yes.
friends to stop voting for these people?
You think I have way too much power than I do. I can't get them to do anything.
There is no cabal, by the way. Did you know that? People.
There is a lot of drifting away. There are a lot of Jews that feel partyless.
Yeah,
a lot in the Jewish community are very shocked. But I don't think that's just like the Jewish community. I think it's also normal Americans are looking to the extreme right and extreme left and being like,
no,
what's
it
going
is.
on here?
The Jews overwhelmingly vote for the Democratic Party for reasons that are unclear other than sort of cultural acceptance, because none of what they believe are embraced by that group, and it turns out that group's not fans of theirs. So I think at some point...
Again, I'm going to point out two people like Steny Hoyer and like Richie Torres and like Debbie Wasserman Schultz, and like there are a lot of, members of Congress and Senate that are that get it, that totally gets it. Like it's the crazies that are. It's the ones that get invited to the Met.
Well, I would basically say, look, blacks vote for Democrats. Democrats are not for school choice. That's a big issue to the black community and impacts them at a higher rate than other communities. And it's the same sort of schism. Like, listen, maybe you should think about voting a different direction.
People vote against their interests so often.
Do not embrace your thoughts.
Yeah.
I know. Well, let me give you a plug here, Noah, since we could go on forever, but we're always out of time. Uncomfortable Conversations with a Jew, and it's available for pre-order as we speak. Yes, it is.
Will you have me and Emmanuel again when the book comes out?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for doing the good work.
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate that.
My pleasure. I want to thank Marsha Warfield for coming in here today. I'm going to be in Vegas tonight at Kimmel's Club doing 2 shows over there. And then just go to amcroll.com for all the live shows. Until next time, it's Sam for Marsha and Chris and Noah saying,
thank you.
Mahalo.